Hi, and welcome to this video. We'll show you one of the new functions in Figaf IRT that actually allow you to transport CPI content a lot easier. So I've made a change in one of my iflows and I want to transport it. So the first thing I do is I go into our landscape configurator here and set up a new landscape with the one as the source system, our development system, another as a QN, and you can actually have the same one multiple times where it will then create virtual packages of these things. So it makes it a lot easier to have multiple versions of your landscape. So the next thing is I want to ensure that once I've done my configuration across the landscape, that I'm actually able to configure these things correctly. So it could be my target host, and this is called QA in my QA environment. And this makes it a lot easier to actually transport these things because you know what the values are that you're supposed to be importing. And then we'll press save here. And that means that once I'm importing this iFlow into my QA environment, it will be displayed in that way. Then I will see what kind of objects I've changed. And I can see I've changed this object. And what I want to do is I want to create a new ticket for this. So this could be a 5, 5, 7, 8, a service request, whatever kind of reasons do we have for doing transport. So this is a service request. You have a small versioning here, just so you got a little something to write and document what's going on. And you can now see we have created our version. Um, we can test it if we have set up test cases for it. And we can now create a transport. And when we're creating a transport, we simply just select our landscape, demo landscape, and we can have multiple landscapes. So one for Salesforce, Salesforce scenario, and one for our success factor landscape. So all of them can be included in different ways. So now we have actually created our transport. So this transport we can then have a look at, and what we will then see is that this transport contains the ticket name, a link to the ticket, and we can see what are the source version, and we can see the target version, and we can then just select import, and this will delete the object on this QA system and import it again and update the configuration. So now we can see it's done. Let's check if that was actually successful. So we will check here, ERT demo. We can see it here. So if we look at the configuration here, we can then see that it actually has this QA parameter. And obviously, if you want to do a new transport and change this iflow, it's also pretty easy. So I'll just create a new version of my iflow. So now the full synchronization is done. We got a new version of this. We can look at the versions here. We can see the FSD is changed again. We can go into our tickets. So we see our FSD ticket here. And since this is the same request and we are making changes in it, we just want to update this to the latest version. So we can update here. We'll find the latest version. We can see we have added these things correctly when they were imported under the landscape. Um, and then we want to do a new transport, and there's two versions you could do that. You can either create a new one, or you can actually create a new transport with this already existing version. You can import this, and then once this is gone, we'd hopefully see that we're getting version 0.4 in our QA environment. And if we go back to our ticket, we can then see it's imported in both places. We can see when it was imported, changed by, and we got all of this information. So instead of you having to actually figure out what was going on, you could see it here. And obviously it's interesting to see what was changed. And this is pretty laborious process, if not difficult. With the ERT tool, we actually have the full versioning of these. So we can see there was something changed in here. We will probably make some updates on this, but at least we know what are the section that has been changed. And I think this is something about this new property over here, and here it's called new 2. So we can actually see what was changed in a matter of seconds instead of having to go through the full flow and see what was actually changed here, and the same what kind of code and stuff like that. So this really simplified the process. You can try Figaf ERT out at figaf.com/IRT, or try our cloud-based offering at figaf.com/IRT cloud. Thank you.